Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is up, what is good? The King of Lightning here today, bringing you guys and gals One Piece discussion video. I'm gonna try and get a video out there every day. I'm really trying to get a video out there every day for the next month or so, because I have a lot of topics to get to, a lot of things to get to, and whether videos are long or short, at least it'll be something for that day. Now, today's topic is based on a post that was posted by Zoro Fanboy a few days ago, and his post reads like this: "We really need all the Straw Hats to learn at least basic haki at some point soon. The crew has no business being haki-less while trying to take out Yonkos when some of these pirate crews have foot soldier fodder characters that have haki. Time to see some power-ups, oh duh." Now, I responded to that twice, and it kind of goes from there, but I disagree with that statement, and I'll get to my reasonings later on in the video. But I understand where he's coming from, and I understand where a lot of folks are coming from in general, where the Straw Hats, aside from the main four, because we'll put Jinbei there as well, Jinbei, Luffy, Sanji, Zoro, all of them have armored haki and observation haki to some capacity. Usopp has observation haki, and he kind of unlocked that in Dressrosa, so he hasn't honed it at all as far as we know. Maybe he did off-screen, maybe he did, but until Oda actually shows us, then we can't say for certain. But armored haki with Usopp is right now non-existent. And then when it comes to Frankie, Brook, Chopper, Robin, Nami, they don't have armored haki or observation haki. They do not. So the question becomes, alright, we're gonna have the strats, they're doing it right now with Kaido. They're gonna try and take out Yonko crews. They're gonna try and take out Yonko themselves. I think the main one here that folks rag on the most is the armament haki. The observation haki, less so than the armament haki, because the armament haki is the ability that allows you to damage Duffel users that have certain type of body augmentations, whether it's Luffy and his rubber fruit, whether it's someone like, let's say, Katakuri and the mochi fruit, let's say if it's a Logia, mainly it's Logia, like Smoker, Caribou, Akainu, Aokiji, the list goes on, where armament haki is the ability that allows you to damage these Logia. And outside of that, if you were to damage these Logias, then you need an ability that can actually damage that with the ability itself, or you would need something else, like a counter ability, where in the case of Crocodile, you'd have armored haki, fair enough, but at the same time, if you put water or moisture on your hands, you're gonna attack Crocodile via that method. If you can manipulate fire or control fire, or if you have fire-based weapons, you could probably damage somebody like Monet. When you look at the characters in Wano Kuni, you see how Sanji has the raid suit, and his armor haki and observation haki. Zoro has Enma, armor haki as well as observation haki, and Luffy, of course, is going through intense armor haki training, where he's pretty much past stage 3. Like, he went right to stage 4, where he was able to actually have his haki go into an object and damage the object from the inside out. He does the same thing that Rayleigh does, and he's able to save Hyogoro and himself from imminent danger. Fair enough. But as I've said before, time and time again, that haki is just one ability among the myriad of abilities, okay? There are many powers that exist in the world of One Piece, and there are many opponents that exist within the world of One Piece, and there are other ways to get stronger outside of haki. A clear case is obviously Zoro and Sanji, where Zoro got a new sword, and that new sword, as I said before in the past, when Zoro gets a new sword, it's a power-up, because the equipment that he uses are swords, and you have different variations of swords, where you have your regular swords, Wazemono, Owazemono, Saijo Wazemono. There's no reason to have higher quality swords if having a new sword doesn't make you more powerful. So of course it does. Of course it does. Zoro having a new sword makes him more powerful. Done. And in this case, People are hyped for Enma. Why? Because Enma makes Zoro more powerful. It increases already tremendous destructive power, probably his range, his strength, potentially his haki usage as well, potentially. Enma provides Zoro with a substantial power, and that is equipment. The same thing goes for Sanji. Sanji has the Raid Suit. The Raid Suit has accelerators on Sanji's heels, and Sanji, already being one of the fastest in the crew, has accelerators. He can turn invisible now, so he has a whole new ability. Then he's got an armor because of the cape and the material of the Raid Suit itself. Sanji's got a tremendous power through the Raid Suit itself. So you have these two power-ups, and it's Oda's way of trying to put Sanji and Zoro in the same sphere as Luffy, because back in the day, that's how it was. Back in the day, Sanji, Zoro, Luffy were all in the same sphere. When you saw their fights, Sanji had an easier time, Zoro had a harder time, and then Luffy would be like near death, and he'd lose several times. They were all in the same sphere of power. But as of the post-time skip, Luffy has gone above and beyond the rest of the Straw Hats because his haki training has been so superb. And in particular, Sanji and Zoro, if they're going to be Luffy's left and right wing, then they have to be able to be around Luffy's level in some respects. Unless Oda has the intention of making the Strat crew like the other Yonko crew, mainly the Big Mom and the Beast Pirates, where Big Mom and Kaido, you can say, are significantly stronger than their commanders. So getting back to the subject at hand, Haki, in particular Arm and Haki. Even though Sanji and Zoro have those two, the fact of the matter is that they needed equipment, like the Raid Suit, like Enma, to try and catch up to Luffy. Now, if they're behind Luffy, then the rest of the Straw Hats are egregiously behind Luffy. There was a point in time where Frankie and Luffy could fight. There was a point in time where Frankie and Luffy could go blow for blow, toe for toe. And if you try and do that now with Frankie and Luffy, it's very clear that the blow for blow, toe for toe it's not happening. All right, Luffy just outclasses Frankie by spades. It is what is there. But does Frankie then need Haki to, let's say, catch up to Luffy? Or in this case, does he need armament Haki to catch up to Luffy? I would argue, not necessarily. The same goes for Usopp, though he does have observation Haki. Again, that's not refined as far as we know, unless he was training off screen. But does he need armor Haki? Not necessarily. The same thing goes for Brook. Does Brook need armor Haki? Not necessarily. And let me be clear here. When I say catching up to Luffy, I don't mean being as strong as Luffy, because there was never a time where Brook, Chopper, Frankie, so on. I mean, Frankie, but no. There was never really a time where they were as strong as Luffy, even back in Water 7. But what I do mean is them being able to fight stronger opponents in the new world. People that are going to be top-end henchmen and so on of Yonko crews, or let's say some powerful giants in Elbaf, stuff like that. Whatever powerful adversaries await the Straw Hat crew, can the Straw Hats themselves tango with these individuals? And is Haki a necessity for them to tango with said individuals? Armor Haki is not necessary when you look at what is available within the world of One Piece. Because again, you can get stronger outside of Haki. Another example of that, obviously, is, let's say, Devil Fruit Awakening. If Brook or if Robin go through Devil Fruit Awakening, that makes them significantly stronger than prior to said Devil Fruit Awakening. Even if they have, let's say, someone like Peckham. Since Peckham, he's a fodder, a quote-unquote fodder. I mean, he's not really a fodder guy. He's not. But he's a lower tier member of the Big Mom Pirates, and he knows Arm and Haki. Even though, let's say, someone like Brook doesn't know Arm and Haki, if Brook has, let's say, Awakening to some extent, he could take on Peckham's and probably beat Peckham's. Honestly. The same thing will go for Robin, where, yeah, she has no Arm and Haki, but if her powers awaken, then she can take on someone like Peckham's or someone like a Bobbin, maybe, who knows, and then beat them. Because even if you have Arm and Haki, it depends on how good you are with that ability. Because again, it's only one ability. And for the most part, what it does, at its core, is strengthening your offense, your defense, and again allows you to bypass certain Dufru abilities that are body enhanced base. So if that is the main issue here, which is of course being able to damage Dufru users, then get Kairoseki. Whoa! All of a sudden, Kairoseki fixes that problem in an instant. It does. So I'm going to refer back to the Twitter post that Zoro made. I respond to that by saying this. I see what Zoro's saying, but I disagree. I recall the Hawkins versus Law fight in Wano. Seastone can be used as a weapon very effectively. Plus, it originates in Wano. If Usopp, Brook, Frankie, etc. get Seastone weapons / enhancements, then they can damage Logia. No armored haki training needed. Cause let's be realistic here. Oda will have to have either, let's say, another miniature time skip, or have them train off screen for them to learn armored haki and opposition haki to a credible extent, which Oda, for Wano Kuni right now, does not seem to have the time nor the patience for, in all honesty. We just had Luffy go through this training, and then now let's say something happens, and now we need to have Frankie, Usopp, Robin train arm haki as well? Like, is Oda really gonna take the time to do that kind of stuff with the weaker Straw Hats? Would Chopper benefit from armor haki? Absolutely he would, absolutely. But at the same time, in let's say Brook's case, doesn't have armor haki, he does have the winds of the netherworld, and it's kind of weird because like Brook's ability focuses on soul. Soul and spirit are tied in many respects in One Piece. And in particular, in Big Mom's case, we know that it's life force. And Brook, his soul emanates a higher frequency, which is why not only can he still be alive, living as a skeleton, but also he can manipulate other people's souls with illusions through his music. So Brook is actually a very odd case, because Brook, even though he doesn't have haki, he can do things like damage soul directly, like in the case of Prometheus and the case of Zeus. Those two are soul infused elements, lightning or clouds, and fire, wildfire. Brook can damage those entities, but he doesn't have haki, and haki can't damage them. We see the case of Luffy where Luffy can't damage Prometheus, even though he has haki. So it's a very odd thing there. Like, I think in theory, potentially Brook should be able to actually damage a person's soul directly and have the same effect as haki because he's hitting someone's soul directly. That being said, whether Oda wants to do it or not, only time to tell. Whole point here is this. Even if Brook doesn't have armor haki, what can happen is we have Brook get a Kairoseki sword. All of a sudden, Logias, I can't damage Logias because I don't have armor haki, but I have a Kairoseki sword. That takes care of it right then and there. And we know that Kairoseki originates in Wano Kuni. Tengu Yami Tetsu is there. I would love to see Brook get a new sword. The sword that we see in the latest chapters, I'm not buying it at all, not for a second. His main sword is Soul Solid, it is what is there. Let's say Soul Solid can be enhanced with Kairoseki. Let's say you put it at the tip, just the tip. You put it at the tip of the sword, or have a whole new blade that's Kairoseki based and oriented. Brook is stronger. And now the issue with the Logia or the Dufru users is no longer an issue. No armored haki needed. None. Zero. And in that case, Brook is far better off training his observation haki rather than, let's say, his armored haki. The same thing would, let's say, go for Usopp. Usopp, if he had Kairoseki based projectiles, we see what Hawkins did to Law with the nail, where Hawkins was able to tag Law with the nail on Law's left shoulder, and Law couldn't use his powers properly at that point in time. If Usopp had the same thing, where he had nails or Kairoseki projectiles, then boom, that solves Usopp's problems with Dufru users right then and there. All of a sudden now, he is effective against Logia. Not just the Paramecia body-enhanced Dufru users like a Luffy or a Zoan. Dufru users in general now are going to be weary of Usopp's Kairoseki projectiles. There you go. There you go. Instead of Oda having to have time to take off to train the Straw Hats, you can make him stronger with better equipment. or equipment that can counter Duffer users. And in Frankie's case, I think it's clear what Oda should do. Those fists are big and mechanical. And what we saw in Film Z was Zet have an equipment called the Smash Buster. And so finally, the last Twitter post I made on the subject was this. Adding on to the last point, if Frankie got Seastone fists like Zephyr, or Usopp got Seastone projectiles, then they would be able to damage body-enhanced Duffer users like any other Armored Haki user. In that case, they're better at learning better observation, especially Usopp. Usopp, I think, observation is more pivotal because he's a sniper, and being able to perceive people's auras, and be able to even potentially see the future and that kind of stuff. That is more beneficial for him in the immediate future rather than, let's say, Armored Haki. In like the distant future, you know, like let's say towards the end of One Piece, alright, fine. Then let's say maybe Usopp runs out of Kairoseki projectiles or some of that sort. Maybe Frankie, his fists are damaged through X, Y, and Z means. Maybe Brook's new Kairoseki Soul Solid breaks. Some of that sort. Fine. But for the immediate future, you don't need Haki, especially if they're not fighting the Yonko themselves or the commander themselves. Though Brook did fight against Big Mom, but Brook lost. Haki or no Haki, Brook lost, of course. Big Mom is gonna spank Brook. It is what it is. But ironically, there's no flesh in the spank, but not important. But for the immediate future against lower tier dudes, and honestly, it's hinted at that a lot of these lower tier guys don't have Haki themselves. Like in the case of, let's say, Sheep's Head. We see Sheep's Head and Brook clash on Zoe. I'm very confident that Brook would have beaten Sheep's Head. Very confident. Does Sheep's Head have Armored Haki? Does Sheep's Head have Armored Haki or Observation Haki? Like, who cares? Even if he did, Brook is still beating him. The same thing goes for Peckham's. Since Robin and Chopper are both Duffer users, would they benefit tremendously for having Armored Haki because they probably can't use, let's say, Kairoseki enhancements? Because Brook is a different case because he's a swordsman, so his sword can have it. But again, in the case of, let's say, Chopper and Robin, yes, they would. And in Nami's case, I guess she would too. But in Nami's case, it's a weird thing because Nami normally uses the climb attack and manipulates the weather as a means of fighting. In her case, unless she could apply Armored Haki somehow, some way to her lightning bolts, or I guess to her gust sword, or I mean, like, I don't see how that's even possible, especially for someone like Nami. Like, how would that even work for Nami? Like, that's a weird thing there. If Nami does have, let's say, Armored Haki, and she applies it to her climb attack itself, okay, fine, she could, she could damage somebody, I guess, with that, but at the same time, it's way less effective because she doesn't have any physical strength. Nami is not, aside from the gag stuff, Nami is not physically strong at all. She's not. So yeah, she can have the Armored Haki applied to her climb attack, and she can try to bash somebody's head in with it, but at the same time, that's massively ineffective. If she had Kairoseki though, attached to her climb attacks, not only can she damage Duffer users, but then it also has the other effect of weakening them in the process. So in Nami's case, she's absolutely better off having Kairoseki for her climb attacks rather than learn Armored Haki. And it'd be a very, very weird process. I'm not gonna lie to you. Having Nami train to learn Armored Haki is gonna be a weird process. Not too sure how that's gonna roll with her, like, at all. She's always gotten stronger through better weaponry, better equipment, therefore better manipulation of the weather. To then have her learn Armored Haki? Like, how, like, that training regimen would be weird for Nami. It'd be very weird. The same for Robin too. It'll just seem weird. The same for Chopper, honestly. It's a weird thing there for those guys, honestly. But again, in that case for Nami, much better having Kairoseki, because it weakens the person and at the same time also allows you to damage them if they're a Duffer user. Done. And then she can focus on having better weather control and being able to damage folks through those means. And honestly, because she can control lightning as well, most Logia users that are, let's say, either solid, liquid, or potentially gas-based as well are gonna have problems with her because she can manipulate plasma, lightning, Okay? So if you're solid or liquid-based Logia, that should still hurt you regardless. Regardless. The gas ones and like the other energy ones, it gets tricky there. It does get tricky there. But again, that's for the Logia spectrum. For the Paramecia spectrums that are enhanced, it should be fine. It should be fine regardless. Like in theory, Katakuri, if you were to stand there like a dunce, and if Nami did the Zeus bolt thing on Katakuri, Katakuri's feeling that. Katakuri's feeling that. It is what it is. So at the end of the day, to wrap this video up, there are options. There are options, all right? Oda doesn't have to have Nami, Robin, Chopper, Brook, Frankie, and Usopp go through the same intense Non-haki regiment that Luffy went through with Hyogoro and Wano Kuni. He doesn't have to do that with them. They can just, oh, there's Karoseki here, boom. All of a sudden, Nami, Brook, Frankie, Usopp are set for a significant amount of time. And in the case of Robin and Chopper, no haki, fair enough. But unless you're dealing with the Logia, Awakening, uh-oh. Robin Awakening would be pretty goddamn powerful. The same for Chopper. Chopper Awakened Zoan would be a pretty big threat. Considering how Chopper already manipulates his powers with Rumble Balls, it only makes sense because it goes along the same spectrum of power that Chopper has been utilizing since he was introduced into the story. So, I get it. I do get it, yes. Having them learn haki will be beneficial in many respects. Definitely, absolutely. But you don't need it. Because it's not really a problem. It's not really a problem. Haki is just one ability from the myriad of possibilities that exist within the world of One Piece when it comes to becoming stronger. In the immediate future, I don't think having no haki is an issue. But I am expecting smash busters from Frankie. I am hoping for Karoseki Sword from Brook. I am praying for Karoseki enhancements on the Climate Attack and awakenings for Robin and Chopper. And they're gonna take out haki users without question. Haki doesn't guarantee a victory. It is what it is. Haki doesn't guarantee a victory. And that's it. I'm gonna catch you guys and gals later. Let me know your thoughts on the subject matter at hand, and be sure to rate the video. It is not that hard to do. I guarantee you that, because I know that you all have a device called Zamaoshu. You use Zamaoshu to click, rate the video, to click, subscribe, to click on that bell to join the squad. And of course, as always, feel free to please do comment in the comment section down below. Peace, y'all, and have a nice goddamn day.